Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Jim Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Variety Talk Show series. How's everybody doing today? So good to see all your smiley faces, and I hope you're in the mood for great conversation, poignant moments, trip down memory lane. Some of your favorite TV shows are going to be talked about, brilliant movies, and lots more as we take you to Hollywood. Yes, this is the show that we started to bring back sort of that lost art of conversation somewhere around 2 years ago and almost 750 episodes ago. You guys know I work in television, radio, stage, and film, and I wanted to do something like this for a while, separate from my day-to-day work in television and radio, and that's to connect with all of you, and it's been extraordinary. Thanks for all the great comments. Thanks for all the fanfare, the love, or as we call it, the lovity here at the Jim Masters Show Live, all the great Instagram messages, the tweets, the Facebook messages, all at Jim Masters TV. And of course, the love that you're showing our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, where we house all of these episodes with the guests coming in from Broadway, Hollywood, television, film, music, stage, culinary arts, sports, comedy, inspiration, and everything else. If you guys would like to comment while the show is live right now in our JMS Lovity chat room, you can do that. Yeah, we actually have a JMS Lovity chat room, right? We spare no expense here at the Jim Masters Show Live. The JMS Lovity chat room is designed so you guys can chat with each other, with fellow viewers, or as we call them, Lovities. And you can also possibly, we'll have some of your comments shown on screen as well. If you want to make sure of that, you can do super chat and super emojis, super stickers. Those are things you can do to support the show when it's live, and super thanks you can do at any time. But that's a gift for the subscribers of our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. We give you the opportunity to be a part of our JMS Lovity chat room that is open and available when the show is live. If you don't get a chance to chat and let us know what you think about the shows and everything else while the show is live, you can definitely leave a comment underneath all the episodes, and we really appreciate you guys doing that. So before we kick things off, we always like to greet our viewers who watch all across the United States, Canada, Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, all watching live right now, or perhaps going to watch this later on in our JMS archives. We welcome you, and it's so great to have you here on the show. It's also really, really cool to have somebody that many of us know, a lot of us grew up with, admire. I'm so honored and pleased and excited to have our guest tonight here on the show, the incomparable Angela Cartwright. Yes, an extraordinary actress, but also a brilliant author and a phenomenal artist as well. You know Angela from some of your favorite television shows, of course, as Penny Robinson in Lost in Space, and of course in The Sound of Music, The Danny Thomas Show, and much, much more, even beyond The Poseidon Adventure, just to name a few. There she is today, of course. There she is from then. And again, a brilliant actress on so many different levels. And you know her from so many incredible productions and shows. And we're very excited to have her here on the show because we're going to talk about, of course, all of these fantastic shows. And of course, you know her as Brigitta von Trapp from The Sound of Music, of course, but also, as I mentioned, Linda on Make Room for Daddy. There she is with Rusty. And she's just really fantastic. We're so excited again to have her here on the show. Going to welcome her in just a second. But again, we welcome all of you and we say thank you for making us a part of your day today. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Angela's extraordinary background. I mean, she's done so much and continues to do so much. We could spend 2 hours just on her illustrious background. Artist, actress, author, photographer, designer, curator, collaborator, instructor, traveler, webmaster, wife, mother, grandmother, and not always in that order, she says. She was born in Cheshire, England, and moved with her family to Los Angeles, California, and started her acting career at the age of 3, playing Paul Newman's daughter in the movie Somebody Up There Likes Me. And that's back in like 1956. At the tender age of 4, Angela was cast to play Linda Williams for 7 years on the hit television series The Danny Thomas Show as Danny's daughter. Probably remember that as well. Then she was cast in the legendary film The Sound of Music. Shortly after that, she was offered the role of Penny Robinson in the iconic television series Lost in Space. Angela has guest starred in numerous television shows, commercials, movies over her multiple decades career in show business. As an author, Angela's award-winning coffee table books, Styling the Stars, which we're going to show you in a minute, Lost Treasures from the 20th Century Fox Archive, offers never-before-seen photographs and a behind-the-scenes look and an exclusive glimpse inside Hollywood's 20th Century Fox studio archives. That's available in paperback as well. Continuing to pursue her passion for art and photography, Angela's art is collected around the world. Her books, which we will show you throughout the show, Mixed Emulsions, Altered Art Techniques for Photographic Imagery, In This House, a collection of altered art imagery and collage techniques, and In This Garden, explorations in mixed media visual narrative, explores her original hand-painted photography and her unique altered art techniques. We'll talk about that coming up. She also conceived and collaborated on the Sound of Music family scrapbook, which she just updated with new photographs, text, and tributes. Her art is collected around the world, and she has pioneered and produced a clothing and jewelry line as well through Angela Cartwright Studio, which incorporates her hand-painted artography images on art, wear, jewelry, and accessories. She does travel the world teaching her art techniques and leads a unique trip to Salzburg, Austria, sharing her Sound of Music behind-the-scenes experiences. She, along with her Lost in Space co-star, Billy Mooney, collaborated on a pictorial memoir, Lost and Found in Space, which offers photographs and personal tales while filming the show for 3 years. Her latest book, of course, On Purpose, is a fantasy adventure novel that Angela wrote with Billy, and it includes 23 of her illustrations. It was released back in 2018. And believe it or not, she's had a wonderful marriage. She's married in 1976, raised 2 children, enjoys the role of grandmother to 4, makes a home in California with her husband, Steve. And she has found her purpose is to love, laugh, and to always create. And she's been doing that for a long time, gang, and we are so honored. There she is when she was in the movie with Paul Newman, Somebody Up There Likes Me. You may remember that movie, too, and that was a fantastic one. And, of course, Make Room for Daddy, the Danny Thomas Show. There's the whole cast, Marjorie Lahr, there's Rusty, there's Danny, and there she is with Rusty, and some more fabulous pictures over the years. She was even on a phenomenally funny episode of the Lucy Desi Comedy Hour. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah, really, really cool. And of course, as I mentioned, the role in The Sound of Music. Brigitta von Trapp, really incredible. And there they all are together. Really an iconic role. She even has that scrapbook, which we talked about, the family scrapbook. She got a chance to work with Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer. Just really extraordinary. And there was even a Christmas movie made as well. And then, of course, as we mentioned, Lost in Space, working with incredible veteran actors. Of course, June Lockhart playing her mother, Jonathan Harris, and the whole cast. Just a brilliant, brilliant series that is beloved and everybody still talks about. Beyond the Poseidon. Yes, you remember the Beyond the Poseidon Adventure, of course, the follow-up to the Poseidon Adventure, and so much more. Continues a wonderful friendship with Billy. And Billy, of course, another fabulous actor. He was in everything as well. Remember, he was on multiple Twilight Zones. I mean, just another incredible actor. And did you know there was a remake of Make Room for Daddy, Make Room for Granddaddy? And she was in that as well. There was also a reunion back in, I think, around 2010 on the Oprah Winfrey Show with the cast of The Sound of Music, which was really fantastic. As I mentioned, too, this phenomenal book that she and Billy put together, Lost and Found in Space. This is number 2. Matter of fact, the book has been expanded on with all new features and lots of cool things as well. She was part of the remake, the Lost in Space 2, the Netflix series, that version as well. And as I mentioned, she likes to take people to Europe, Salzburg and elsewhere, and really just loves to do that. So I think that's really cool that she does that. So lots to talk about, gang. Thanks for all the comments. I see a bevy of comments already built up here Why don't you join me as we take you to California and we welcome our illustrious guest in her studio, surrounded by all her art and the artist instruments that she's got. There she is. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
I am good.
And
Wow. I just had a trip down memory lane there.
and believe it or not, that was the short list. That was the condensed version. You
Uh,
literally just got off an airplane, didn't you?
I did. Yes, I did. But we had booked this a while ago. So here I am.
I am so excited to have you here. Uh, are you always still traveling a lot for the work and or just to visit family, or you find yourself moving around a lot, Angela?
Well, we have a little place in the Midwest, so I go there and kind of get away from the hustle and bustle and concrete and
Yeah.
just kind of live in a little bit more rural area. And I find it's been very, very healing and very good for me to
Yes.
do that.
It's
I get back
beautiful.
to simpler things in life.
You know, you and I were just talking before we went live on the air about how the last couple of years of our lives really has been a time of reflection, a time to sort of reconnect, reboot, and a time to look in the mirror and say, what do we want to do next chapter? What are some of the things we want to do? I keep saying, and you're a Virgo and I'm Virgo rising with the Libra. We talking about all that too. Looking for balance and harmony, looking still to inspire people. And at the same time, hoping that we rise out of the ashes of all this craziness, more kinder, more empathetic, more collaborative, less divisive. How about for you? What are some of the things you've learned about Angela during this time?
Well, I think 2.5 years ago, I think it was just a real shock to people. We kind of all went into our shells, and a lot of us didn't come out for a while. And I don't think it's real healthy. And I think that did a lot of reflection and a lot of, really deciding what were the things that made me the happiest. And I know that that's being with my family, my grandkids. I'm very blessed. I have four wonderful grandkids. And I really love being with them. I think they really inspire you to stay young and to stay involved. And so I like being around them a lot. And also I think what happened was it was very uninspiring to kind of just be locked away. And so I really felt like I needed some kind of, breaking out of kind of getting reconnected again. And so my husband and I, that's what we did. And I've really been enjoying it. It's a new experience, it's a new adventure. And I love that. I am quite adventurous.
Isn't that fantastic? You're right, exactly. And I think that's absolutely awesome to be able to do that. And you are truly, a creator. And I want to take it back to the fact, which some people may not realize, that you've been in this business. You've been doing this since the age of 3, which I mean, and at 3 years old, here you are already working with the likes of Paul Newman. I mean, not too shabby a start.
I know. That was pretty lucky. It was his first movie, though. So who knew, that it would be so successful and he would become such a wonderful actor. But, I was born in England and my
Yes.
parents, they came to America to follow the dream.
Right.
And, we immigrated here. And it's such a great story. I mean, it's my parents worked very hard, both of them did. And the very fact that me and my sister, just by chance, I mean, it certainly wasn't something that they pursued. We just kind of fell into it. There weren't a lot of child actors at the time either. Our next door neighbor had a kid that was in commercials and said, "Boy, the agent that handles my daughter would really love to meet you and your kids." So my mother was like, okay. I mean, my mother was a nurse and had worked through World War II, and really wanted to live by the water. That was something she always really wanted to do. And she wanted to get out of England and come to America. So the very fact that, we went on this interview and the agent took us and sent us on jobs. My sister's Veronica Cartwright. Some people don't make that connection.
That's
But
right. Yes.
she's a wonderful actress that continues to work to this day. And
Fabulous episode of The Twilight Zone she was in too. Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah, that was a creepy one.
Was that
Yeah,
the one where they wanted the perfect grandmother? They picked
Sunny.
yes, they
Yes,
picked that
yes.
perfect grandmother. Yeah.
She picked that, but she was in some wonderful things, Children's Hour, and older movies, The Birds, and then went on
That's
to be an
right.
alien, and you know, she's
Your
done.
your
Things.
parents must, I mean, just what you just listed there, and then of course your incredible career. Your parents must have sat back and say, this has exceeded what we thought would happen when coming over from the old country to America. I mean, they must have been proud and just pinching
It's
themselves,
wasn't
huh?
on their bucket list to get their kids in show business. It just happened, and then I ended up. I did some modeling, which you showed a little picture earlier of that, and it just kind of blossomed. I went on, the after doing doing this part in this movie. I was in something of value also with Sidney Poitier and Rock Hudson.
Yeah. What was it like working with them?
I don't.
Wow.
I was asleep in the
You
bed.
That's right.
My job was.
So you
I,
have to go on what they tell you, right?
yes, it was lovely working with them. I mean, I don't really know. My mother told me that I was a princess in the bed, and I had to just pretend I was asleep. I mean, I
Yeah.
was 3 years old. Let's think
Yeah.
about how you deal with 3 years old kids. But
Yeah.
I was 4 when I started the Danny Thomas Show, and it just happened to be a very popular show. People loved it.
You were
Um,
terrific in it. You were very you and I love that show. And it's on either Antenna TV or Decades, one of the nostalgic channels. And of course, Desilu Productions. You have all that atmosphere and all those folks involved. But you were very like ahead of your time. You were very witty. I know they write the lines, but just the way you delivered it and your facial expressions were fantastic. You were just really,
I really took to it. We did that in front of a live audience every week. So
yes,
it was like doing a play every week. Um,
yes.
and I don't know. I don't know how that, kind of happened. I remember I used to know everybody's lines just from hearing them from rehearsal.
Yeah,
And it was a fun show to do. And
yeah,
Danny was a lot of fun. And
yes.
um,
Very boisterous, loud, and yeah,
everything my father wasn't. My dad was
right.
very quiet and
Reserved, very British.
yeah, but Danny was like, yeah, loud, boisterous. And, we used to be this New York family. I had a British accent and they kind of had to, can you kind of have a little more, the Brooklyn accent? And I picked that up very quickly. And I
Yes.
sang and I danced and I just it just kind of came very naturally to me. But I did love doing that show. And those were the days when you did like 26 shows.
Yes.
None of this like 8 episode thing.
No.
I mean, this is
Right.
a lot of shows we did every year,
Yes.
but it was good. It was a funny show. It was about a family. And I think people really, really enjoyed that, the Williams family.
They
I mean,
did. Absolutely. And Rusty, of course, you guys just had, sort of you really would have thought you were brother and sister just with the teasing and just the way and his facial expressions too. Sometimes it looked like sometimes when you watch it, it almost looks like there were times where he really wanted to break out laughing, but he was like holding back his smile because maybe Danny or somebody said something funny or a reaction to a shot. It's just you guys played off each other. You really would think you're brother and sister. What was it like working with him as well? And Danny and Marjorie, everybody.
well, Rusty used to kind of torture me because I was
Just like a brother would, huh?
I know, I was the younger kid. He had been the youngest kid on the show. The original show went for 11 years, and Jane Wyman was his wife. Then
That's
she
right.
wanted to leave the show. He was single for a year, and then he decided for ratings that he needed to marry again. So I was actually, and this is a Trivial Pursuit question. If you ever get it, you'll get the answer. I'm actually Marjorie's daughter. I'm his stepdaughter, but they didn't make a big point of that actually. So, um, then it became just the four of us. And there was also Sherry Jackson that was on the show for a couple of years. And then she got, teenager and they sent her away. And then we had the most amazing guest stars. I mean, we always had terrific people on the show, and that was a lot of fun because Danny was kind of that Rat Pack part. He
Oh, yes.
would go to Vegas. They do these live, performances with, Bob Hope and Bing Crosby and Sammy Davis and all, that kind of group. So
Yeah, it's amazing. Here you have these major stars coming through as guest stars. I know you were young, but did you realize, because there's a studio audience there as well, which adds in a certain, flavor to it. Did you realize sort of as people were, you know, noticing you and they were loving what you were doing and other kids probably wait, I watch you on TV, that kind of thing. Did you realize the power of it all, or were you just having a good time doing what you love doing?
well, I don't think I realized any power behind it. I did come from a very kind of reserved family. I had to make my own bed. I had to clean up the dishes after we ate. I wasn't the star at home. I had a very kind of stricter upbringing, which, I believe that kids need to have jobs.
That was a great balance. That was a smart thing for them to do. They were there guiding, supporting, making sure, even though the glitz and glamour and all these things are around you, the trappings of it all, you still had the support and love of the family. Fabulous way to do it, huh?
It was. And I came from a very strong marriage between my parents, and we were a very close and tight knit family. And I think all that stuff helped. It helped us to really recognize um, that this was different. I mean,
Yeah.
when you're young, and kids perform and then they get applause, it's like, oh, like my little grandson, he swims with his face under the pool water and we get up and we all applaud and he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm so pitching. Yeah, he's only two. But it's, you get this feeling that, oh, people are enjoying this, but you don't really understand the mechanics of it being very young.
Right, exactly. There's a lot of work, takes and retakes and hours and a lot put into it all, and always everything always is made to look easier than it really is. But what great opportunities early on for you to be on such an iconic show as the Denny Thomas Show, Make Room for Daddy. Just really that sort of set the stage because people saw you, regularly, producers, directors saying, gee, she's really good. She's talented, she picks it up quickly. Uh, let's bring her in for other things. Matter of fact, of course, The Sound of Music being an iconic thing to flow into. But during the time of the Denny Thomas Show, how cool is it to have your own, to have a doll, the Linda doll? I mean, that's like
I remember,
every kid wanted to have a doll after them.
I know, right? I did think that was really cool. And I did a few little commercials that you might have seen. They're on YouTube, I think.
Yeah.
About the doll and how she, walks and stuff like that. That was really cool. But I kind of, in a way, thought everybody kind of had a doll, and everybody.
Right.
It's a very odd kind of unreality kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
I grew up really around a lot of adults, and I
Yeah.
went to school on the stage there for 3 hours every day. So it was kind of a private tutoring. I think it takes a kind of, you know, it's not a special makeup, but you definitely have to be disciplined to
Yes.
be in the business. Now, Danny was done live, so that was kind of different than like Lost in Space, which was a more, you know, you do the scene, you rehearse the scene, then you shoot the scene, and it may be out of sequence. Danny
Yes.
was never done out of sequence. You know, we
Right.
just went from one scene to the next.
Yeah.
But that, you know, takes a lot of patience. Like Sound of Music, that was totally different, you know.
How did that so you're, with Make Room for Daddy, the whole Danny Thomas experience, and then a phone call comes for the Sound of Music. How did that all happen? And that must have been again when your family, your folks, heard some of the names of the people who were going to be involved, Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer and others, with this grand epic presentation of this film, which has now become one of the most beloved, like A Wizard of Oz and some of these others, just these classics. Um, how did that happen where the call came and they were thinking about you? And did you have to go through a series of auditions? Did they know they wanted you for the role? How'd that work out for you?
Well, for Sound of Music, this was a big chance that 20th was going to take. And Robert Wise was the director, and he interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people. And at the time, we knew that this was the last season for the Danny Thomas show. And here I was, 10 years old, and I was going to be out of work. So I went on an interview for The Sound of Music, and I did sing and I did dance. So that was definitely a plus. I had dark hair, and The Sound of Music has always been cast with blondes. And Robert Wise didn't just always follow the rules in that, which is one of the reasons I think the movie works so well. Um, Julie Andrews was a Broadway phenomenon, of course, but not really frontline at that point. So she was kind of not a name that was like, oh, a Julie Andrews movie. This was a big deal for her. And she talks about that in her book, by the way. You know,
Yeah.
she didn't really know what she was doing when she did Mary Poppins, but she had that talent and she had that spark. And Chris Plummer was a Canadian actor that nobody had heard of, which, you know, he was very trepidatious about taking this role. He didn't want to get locked into some sweet part. And that's what was so brilliant about his performance, I think, because the more you watch him in the movie, he has these little nuances that he does. He's tough, but he's not so tough. And you can tell he loves his kids. He really worked it to the nth degree, I think. And he also later in life said that he actually thanked Sound of Music for
Mm,
kind of putting him on the map. And of
yeah.
course, he went on to have such an illustrious career.
Yeah.
He was going to keep on working.
Yeah.
Um, and it was so sad to lose him. I think it was last
Yes.
year. But this is a movie that made stars. When you think about it, it just worked. And I think Robert Wise, who had directed West Side Story, he just did it so brilliantly. He had the patience of a saint. He
Yes.
was Nicholas Hammond and myself had worked. Nikki had been in Lord of the Flies.
Yes.
I had been, of course, on Danny Thomas. And I think we were the professionals that kind of knew about it, but the others, you know, they were kind of these fresh faces. They had done some commercials or whatever, but he really took a chance on the cast, and I think he made a brilliant decision on casting. But an interesting point about this is that it was Robert Wise who had cast me in Somebody Up There Likes Me, and he didn't remember that, and he had cast
Wow.
as Paul Newman's daughter. but he didn't know it until I showed up on the set with the little mouse that he gave me when I had done that role, and he was like shocked. And I said, "Would you sign this for me?" And I still have that to this day. That little mouse with his signature.
Wow, from somebody up the likes me, huh?
There
Wow.
must have just been something that connected him to me for him to want to cast me in this role also, and
Yeah.
not really know, that I don't know that I had been cast in that other role. But I
Yeah.
casted also for Louisa with a blonde wig, and
Yes.
that was certainly much more comfortable for me.
So
This was
when they told you that you were going to take on this role, um, that must have been exciting too, huh?
very exciting.
Yeah.
But it was Danny Thomas who let me out of the last episode of the Danny Thomas show so I could do this movie. And that does happen where people can't get out of their contract and they lose parts. And we went right into rehearsal and we rehearsed. We knew those songs, we know those dances to this day, 50, 60 years later, whatever it is. We still know those those roles. We
Right.
still know those dance numbers and the songs. I mean, it just does not go away. It's one of those things that you just remember.
The rehearsals must have been quite intense, right? Because there was a lot of singing and movement and just a lot in the film itself. Was it long days and lots of exacting happening on set?
Well, you do have to go to school for 3 hours, and then the rest of the time you can be on the set. And it was intense. And they built kind of faux sets for us to practice. The dance numbers and everything are quite intricate. And the bicycles, when we were on the bikes, that was also very had to be timed, and we practiced on the back lot with the bicycles. The My favorite things, every day we ran through the numbers, we knew them inside and out. So when we went to Austria, it was very rarely that we screwed up a shot, because we all knew them so well. We'd done them so many times inside and out. And yeah, to this day, I can still run up and down those steps on Maribel Gardens with the do re mi, that end number where I run up there, and I'm like, oh my God, I still remember how to do this. It's crazy.
Mm. It's amazing, isn't it? When you think about it, what comes back from the years of doing it, and it's. I would imagine again, like some of these television series, you're doing the work and you're enjoying the time, but then you realize over time these become beloved. Uh, did you or anybody think that The Sound of Music would become what it's become, just in terms of the epic nature, the beloved nature, this iconic Academy Award-winning film?
No, we had no idea.
No idea.
I mean, we hoped, of course, that it would be successful. And
Yeah.
we knew that there was something magic happening when we were filming it. I think everybody felt that, oh, this is, besides being so incredibly beautiful there in Salzburg, Austria. We were there for 3 months. We were quite challenged by rain.
Yes.
And we would wait for the clouds to come out, and then we'd run and do our little, run up the side of the river, or do re mi. I remember that was quite a rainy day. We would sit in the barn and practice, and then they would call us out, and we'd go out onto the hill. It's not a backdrop, it's a real deal. It's most stunning hill ever. And then there's this castle that's kind of sitting amongst the clouds there. And it was challenging. The whole thing
Yeah.
was challenging,
Yeah.
but it's quite wonderful. And we never thought, I thought Julie should have won the Academy Award for that, or maybe I'm
Yeah.
biased, but she had won for Mary Poppins. But the movie did win Best Picture, and thank God, because the critics kind of panned it, but people loved it.
Yeah.
And it's a very good example of one of those movies that word of mouth. You can take
Yes.
kids to this movie. You can, sit in a theater. So many people tell me this brought back so many memories to them of their family, and going and have it was kind of a big deal, the curtains would part, and there was an intermission. I mean, it was cool.
Yeah.
To this
Yeah.
day, there's Sound of Music parties.
Yes.
There's people that just watch the movie. It's an event for them, and
Absolutely.
just beautiful thing. That's a great thing. And I don't know if you've ever been to the Sound of Music sing along. They do it every year at the Hollywood Bowl. And we just love to go. Any of us that are in town, we love to go. And when everybody sings Edelweiss, and
Mm.
they use their phones instead of matches, for that brief moment, the entire place is brought together in just the most beautiful, peaceful way. It's really quite uplifting.
It's very magical, isn't it? It truly is very, very magical. And I think I remember a story where Julie Andrews was talking about some of the behind the scenes making of the movie and all the things that had to be done, like the shot where she's on the top of the mountain, she's twirling, and
Mhm.
the hills are alive with the sound of music. But that the helicopter would be coming in low, and sometimes it would be too low and too noisy, and the hair would be blowing, and they'd have to do it again, and then the helicopter would have to come in again, and just what it took just to even get that shot. It was cold, it was freezing, she said, on the top of the mountain. You don't see any of that when you watch it. It looks like it's summertime, but just some of the elements that you had to work up against to make, movie magic, right?
Absolutely. And that's what movies are. They are magic. You can make somebody believe anything by how you film it. Yeah, the helicopter kept knocking her to the ground. The power of that whole shot, and then it's a cut, and then you see her after she's twirled. Um, but yeah, it would knock her to the ground. Um, it's a movie that's big like this with so much behind it. It's really not for sissies. It's hard work, and it's everybody kind of looking in the same direction
Yeah.
because you want it to be successful. Um, and a lot of that has been lost in later years because it's more about money and how fast you can get it done, as opposed to the purity of what movie magic really was, I think.
I mean, the experiences first with the Paul Newman movie, and then the Danny Thomas show, and then Sound of Music. What a great, like, breadth and variety of teaching ground for you, especially going from, comedy to drama to family. I mean, a really nice mix at an early age of hands-on learning that was happening for you as you were developing your acting prowess, your acting career, huh?
Well, it was definitely on the scene, learning. It was probably I had some of the best acting teachers in the moment, and also just when you're doing a scene, not going off into some other world, but being present, which was really one of the most important things. Knowing what was going on in the scene and being there. Yeah, I had some great teachers, and I'm very fortunate with the jobs that I had gotten, and continued to come my way. So I
Yeah,
was very blessed.
absolutely. And I mentioned when I was doing the introduction that you guys had an opportunity to sort of reunite on the Oprah Winfrey show. What was that like? That emotional?
Yeah, that was really something. We were all together. Since then, we have lost our Liesel,
Yeah.
Charmaine Carr, and Heather, who was my close friend for many, many years after the
Yes.
Heather Urich. That was really the last time that we were all together. And
Yes.
that was really emotional, and that was really, really cool to have that moment.
Yeah. Not everybody gets a chance to do that. You mentioned Heather and C's. What was she like? What was it like not only working with her, as a fellow creative, but having a friendship with her as well?
But we hit it off right away.
Yeah.
Um, she was a lot of fun. We created our own language. We, we just enjoyed every moment we were on the set. We both loved to dance. We were just became fast friends,
Yeah.
and stayed that way for many, many, many years. And it's very unusual also that this, and I also have this with the Lost in Space group, that
Yes.
we have all stayed in contact, and we are all very close to each other. We write each other, and we're kind of like a big dysfunctional family. With Sound of Music, we just the five of us got together to celebrate Julie Andrews, the AFI award, which she received.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was great to see everybody because we're all over the country, and Nikki's in Australia. And so to come together, it's just like, oh, hi, and it's pick up where we left off. And that's so cool.
Yeah.
Same thing with Bill Mooney, Marta Kristen. We get together every now and then, and it's just pick up where we left off.
He had a wonderful friendship with Bill, and going all the way back to the beginning. I mean,
Yes.
cutie patooties there, both of you. What was it like, on set with Bill and with everybody? Again, here you go from working with Paul Newman to this Desilu production of the Danny Thomas Show and Make Room for Daddy, to The Sound of Music, now to this incredible sort of sci-fi family, really cool, cutting edge show, Lost in Space. One thing after the other. Absolutely amazing. Maybe some time in between, but not a lot of time in between. And here comes this series. Tell us about the opportunity that came your way, Angela, to be a part of Lost in Space. And, we all grew up with that. I have the Lost in Space robot. I think it came out of the Sears Wish book.
Ah, so great. You and a million others, but it's so
Yes.
lovely. You got the original one. That's so great.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the robot absolutely made an impact on people. The whole thing about Lost in Space to
He
me,
even lifted you up. You raised me up.
yes, it did. That's Bobby May in there.
Yeah.
Uh, the thing about Lost in Space that you have to remember, it was a moment in time when the walking on the moon seemed unbelievable. This was before that happened. The whole idea of there being aliens and what was out there and what was that final frontier. It really captured people's imaginations. And the idea of a whole family being up there was kind of really fascinating to people. And I think they wanted to, be a part of that. And it was something that I also was totally enamored with space and the idea of being up in space. And I think they had some really lovely stories. Like my friend Mr. Nobody is one of my favorites because I think of this girl that was, teetering on teenager dumb and alone. I mean, she really didn't have any friends except her bloop. And she wanted to meet people. She had this urge to kind of want to investigate. She was much braver than me, though. Is much braver than I would have been. Going into dark caves, talking to voices. I don't
Yeah.
see myself, Angela,
Not
doing
something Angela, right?
but that was cool, right? I mean,
Yeah.
for me as an actress to be able to do that was really so it was cool because you wanted to be that, you wanted to
Yes.
be brave enough to do that. You wanted to be fearless enough
Yeah.
to kind of investigate or be caught behind a mirror or with the hippies dancing, it was fun. We had a blast. I mean, Bill and I, we always had so much fun. And we ended up having a long, many, many years friendship. And to this day, I'm seeing him tomorrow, as a matter of fact.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we wrote this
We
book.
have a mutual friend, he and I, somebody I actually interviewed in my professional work, and we went to her home in Novato, California. She's one of the sweetest people on the planet. Buffy Ford Stewart.
Oh, yeah.
You know Buffy,
Friend.
John Stewart from the Kingston Trio's widow, and a wonderful, wonderful sweetheart. And Billy's good friends of hers as well. The world is very small.
It certainly can be as you get older, boy. Yeah, Buffy was a good friend of his. Bill was always enamored with the Kingston Trio and
Yes.
music. And by the way, he's coming out with his own book.
Really?
Been bugged for years to write his own biography. And he said to me, I want to do it before I forget some of these stories.
Right.
And it's like this book it's really a fun trip down memory lane for a lot of people. The people he worked with. He had such an interesting career. So
absolutely.
I think that'll be out soon. It's called The Full Moomy.
Well, when you see him, love to invite him to the show. It would be fantastic. He's more than welcome to hop on and chat with us. Love to do that. Lost in Space had, of course, become another. These shows have become iconic in the hearts and minds of not just Americana, but really around the world. And working with the incredible cast. I mean, June Lockhart, America's mom on so many different levels, working with such a wonderful person. What was it like working with June Lockhart for you?
Well, June is, besides being extremely bright and a wordsmith,
Yeah.
She's got a little kind of curiosity part of her. And I loved that. I mean,
Yeah.
we'd come up with these little quirky things for us to do on the show where nobody really knew that we were doing them.
Yeah.
But she was fun. She was a lot of fun. She really was. And yeah, she's still sparky to this day. So she doesn't go to conventions anymore, but she was lovely. Actually, everyone in this cast was really terrific. Mark just had his 86th birthday.
Wow. It's hard to believe, huh?
I know. And what a character. That guy always cracked me up. Still does to this day. He's so funny. Guy was he was so lovely, died way too young.
Yes.
And Jonathan, what a character. And he created this iconic figure of Dr. Smith.
Yes.
That just, don't
right. And there's a couple of things to Lost in Space that are of interest to the real, deep fans and aficionados of the series. Of course, it started out black and white, which had its certain feeling to it, and then color was sort of coming along in television as well. And also, Jonathan was more of a more serious, maybe harder edge character, and that they sort of maybe softened him up. They emphasized a little bit more of a humorous, a little bit warmer side to him as the show was evolving. Tell us about some of that.
Well, I think in the very beginning, the pilot was just the family, and actually Dr. Smith's character was rather sinister.
Yeah.
You don't remember, but he actually kind of killed somebody.
Yeah.
But I think what happened was the word came down from the tower that this show was kind of scary, and they had to lighten it up because it had a 7:00 time.
Yeah.
And Jonathan realized, if I don't do something here, then I'm going to be written out of the show. So it created this kind of funnier character that got more and more crazy as time went on, but people loved it. It made them laugh. It brought a lightness to the show, and they really enjoyed it. And I think it was Irwin that said, you know, that stuff that you're doing, do more of that. And of course, that's all Jonathan needed to hear. A lot of the sayings that he says to the robot, he wrote those. You know, those funny things I think he would think up at night, and he would come in and, you know, they would just crack everybody up. And he was a wonderful actor to work with, a very giving actor. He was a good guy. He really was. I miss
Oh,
him. We
oh yeah.
had lots of fun. We used to go to dinners, and he would tell he was a great storyteller.
I would imagine, yeah, like I said, the people that you've had exposure to, it really was epic learning as you were doing it. You saw the aspects of these fellow actors, whether they are child actors along with you, seasoned veterans. Were you, as you were on the sets of these iconic productions, Make Room for Daddy, Sound of Music, Lost in Space, and others, were you also soaking it all in as much as you were having fun? Were you also watching what the director was doing, what the producer was doing, how the cameras were moving? Was that interesting you at all, as far as just to see how they were able to create these worlds, create these environments, and turn it into TV shows and everything else? Did the behind the scenes interest you at all? And were you soaking all that in along the way?
Well, yeah, it did. It did fascinate me because, you know, I later became a photographer, and I always enjoyed being behind the camera instead of the front of the camera, because it's a lot of work to be in front of the camera all the time. But behind the camera, you could just like create, you know. And I did soak it up. I did know how it came about, everybody's job, what they did. Everybody had a specific role to play behind the scenes. And so many people, when they watch shows, they don't realize everything that goes into something like that, and how much time and energy, and, you know, how people are trained to do certain things, and not everybody can do their part as good as they can. You know,
Right.
there's sets to be designed and makeup to be had. And that was really what fascinated me about, you mentioned Styling the Stars, which when it I remember being on the set of Lost in Space and seeing these boxes that were stored in the restroom. I know that sounds weird, but there were huge restrooms. It was a huge entrance to the stages. And there were always these boxes and boxes of stuff. And I had a dream one night when of course, I was an adult and much older, but I realized that for every movie and every television role that there was, these continuity pictures were taken, and they were usually taken with a 2.25 camera. And every single star or person that was appeared on the film had to have a picture taken. And this was for the wardrobe, and this was for the hair, because you never did shoot movies and television in sequence. You shot it out of sequence. So if you're going to shoot one scene and then you shoot a lot of other stuff, and then you go back and shoot this scene, you have to match. You know, if maybe the sleeve is torn, or how is the hair, and that has to match from scene to scene.
Yeah.
And
The
so
sun setting, like if the sun doesn't match and you're outside, and the continuity of the sun, yeah, all of that is essential.
it is. And you know, today they can adjust a lot of that stuff because of photoshops and stuff like that.
Digital, and yeah.
Everything was so analog, and those pictures existed. And I thought, oh my God, I should see if I can get these pictures, because I loved to collect pictures of myself in my different outfits behind the scenes. I always thought they were like really cool. And so I did. I talked to people at the 20th and in the archives, and this was right before it was bought by Disney. It took me 2.5 years. That was kind of coming down, and this was kind of the last hurrah for 20th to celebrate all the wonderful movies that 20th had created. From, I mean, Shirley Temple, she really put 20th on the map with her, talk about talented, wonderful roles that she played.
Oh yeah.
And I really, really wanted her to be in this book. And I was so pleased to have her okay before she passed away. I got a lot of people that are no longer with us to sign off on the pictures. And the cover, when I saw this picture, I thought, oh my
Yeah.
God, this is so brilliant because
Mm.
it encompasses everything. It encompasses wardrobe. They wanted to see all those curls have to match from scene to scene,
Right.
how the hat is. And of course, you're holding up, who you are, the part you've played. And I loved this. And you kind of can notice, once I've told you, you'll notice that she has a hearing aid in her ear because she was apparently partly deaf.
Hmm.
That was so much how Hollywood, everything seems so perfect. And these people are just, humans that are playing a part. And that was all part of this book also. So I did, Tom McLaren helped gather with me. We sat, we looked at millions of pictures and, accounted for all of it and put it together. I'm really proud of this book. It was a big coffee table book, and then it came out in paperback. And here it is right here. I'll hold it up.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Let's do a nice. There it
they,
is. There.
they actually reproduce this so beautifully, even in this paperback.
Isn't that
And
cool?
there's all these pictures. It makes a great gift, especially if people like old movies from, way back, pictures that you never were meant to see because they care who is
You
that.
have some favorites in there, personal favorites.
Well, I did find a whole bunch from Sound of Music. I did put those in here um, because look at Chris. He's like so kind of serious. And there's Dan Truitt who played Rolf. There's I love the shadow on the wall on that one. That's the guy
That's
that's
fantastic.
holding the men's thing. I mean, there's just some glorious pictures. And this is one of the whoops. This is whoop that side. This is one of the pictures that I found of myself in wardrobe, and I thought, oh, I know everybody else was there at that. And these were the do re mi outfits. I'm really proud of this book. I love it. And you know what? I sell these on my websites, and I'll sign it and personalize it if that interests you as far as a gift for someone.
Absolutely. And these are photos that weren't really meant for public consumption
Oh,
necessarily,
never.
right? These are, combing the hair, putting the lipstick on, doing different behind the scenes things, right? And you had the wherewithal to work hard to amass the collection, which must have been an extraordinary labor of love for you as well. And it's incredible. It's styling the stars, lost treasures from the 20th Century Fox archives, never before seen photographs, behind the scenes exclusive glimpse inside Hollywood's 20th Century Fox studio archives, of course, available in paperback as well. That is really something special.
It was a fun one to do. It really was. You could see the actors' characters, the real them in some of the pictures too. Paul Newman was a total clown. I mean,
Yeah.
in pictures, he's like pulling faces and doing stuff like that, and so you kind of get a glimpse into the real person, which is kind of cool.
And then the choice of Marilyn Monroe on the cover. Tell us about that.
She's just an iconic
Yeah.
movie star, and I couldn't think of a more perfect picture for the front of this book.
Yeah.
And I was so glad they cleared it as being the picture. And of
Yeah.
course, you always stop and look at a picture of Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah,
I
right,
mean,
exactly. You know,
so.
You were also in, of course, people remember the Poseidon Adventure, but you were in the Beyond the Poseidon Adventure, which was cool as well. Tell us about that.
Beyond the Poseidon. I was amazed that I lived to tell the tale. Um, Worked with Sally Field, Peter Boyle, Mark Harmon, his very first
Yes,
role, and Shirley Knight, Slim Pickens in the back there, and of
that's
course
right.
Michael Caine, which was very exciting for me. I was a big Michael Caine fan. Um, it was a movie that Irwin Allen directed it,
Yes.
and Jack Warden there. I forgot to mention him. There are a lot of big names in this. He
Yeah.
used to do these like big buster movies, like Towering.
Oh, Tower Inferno, Earthquake, Incense Around.
Yeah, oh, really?
Charlton Heston and that, yeah, Ava Gardner, all of them. Fred Astaire, I think, was in Towering
Yeah.
Inferno, and Steve McQueen, and they would bring out like all of Hollywood's veteran actors and actresses and put them in. The original, of course, Poseidon Adventure with Shelley Winters and Jack
Oh, yeah.
Albertson and Ernest Borgnine, and just like epic.
I know, epic, definitely big, big. He was actually kind of the trailblazer, I think, in doing those big movies with lots of star names. Sally, I must say, was not too thrilled about being in that. I think she had just done Norma Ray,
Ah,
and
yeah.
so this was kind of like, oh, do I have to do this? But
Do I have to go underwater, really?
oh my God,
I
I
have to get
really,
wet?
I'm amazed he didn't drown. Thank God for Michael Caine, who was very, very careful to make sure that we knew where the steps were and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I mean, oh my God, Slim Pickens only had one lung, and here he is
that's right.
underwater. I mean, it was like insane,
Yeah,
insanity. But
yeah,
Mark Harmon,
yeah,
lovely actor who I enjoyed working with very much on that.
yeah. That's really fantastic. I mentioned too, some people may have forgotten that there was Make Room for Granddaddy in color on ABC back in around 71. Tell us about sort of this regrouping here with Danny Thomas and company,
Doesn't that look like a picture from 1971? Got the mini skirt, the long hippie hair. Um, yeah, Danny brought this back. We were hit, unfortunately, with a writer's strike right in the middle of it. We had some amazing people on the show, Diana Ross,
Yeah,
Frank Sinatra, to just name two. And it was a good concept, and I think it would have done better if it hadn't been at the time that it was. And this is
mm,
Rose Greer in the back there,
yeah,
and Sid Melton, his Coco Cabana. Um, he was like the owner of the club. Um, and also I think maybe time had moved on a little bit, although
yeah,
they did have some fun things. Linda Learns to Drive. That was one of the episodes, and that was kind of fun to do. He tried to touch on what was happening. I know with Danny's show, he had kind of that side thing that he was an entertainer and everything, and then there was Marjorie's little storylines. But he also tried to touch on family, and he had 3 kids of his own, and kind of involved those stories on things that maybe had happened to him and his family. And some of it was so charming. I
yeah,
know his locket, and Mr. Jumbo, the guy
yeah.
at the park, that was like 6 feet tall, and they thought I was making that up. Kind of innocent purity kind of show that I think people really enjoyed. So that was short lived. Make
Yeah.
room for Granddaddy, but it was fun to do.
Now, there, with the Sound of Music, there was also Christmas too, huh?
Well, that was just a organized photo shoot.
Yeah.
Like Chris had been on the islands there for a while, getting a suntan in this picture.
Had there
Uh,
been talk of a movie or anything around the holiday with that?
no,
Yeah.
talk of movie? No. Oh,
Yeah.
you mean another movie?
Yeah. Or
No,
like
no.
a special or something, Christmas or something.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I know Julie did a special with Carol Channing for Christmas, but no, this
Yes.
is just for Rogers and Hammerstein to send out a Christmas card with
Nice.
all of us on the front of it.
Now you, speaking of being, somebody who's really good at amassing collections and putting it all together for people to enjoy, the Sound of Music Family Scrapbook is something very special. Tell us
Mm.
about this project and what inspired this and what this entails. Because again, our audience, Angela, they are very proactive. And every time we have guests on where there's product, they're ordering it as we are talking.
Oh,
So you know that, yeah, they're online as we're chatting. They're online ordering everything. Tell us about this. This is something special.
well, the making of The Sound of Music was an experience for all of us, and we had a lot of memorabilia. This is the old cover, and this is the new cover
Oh,
because
you got an
we did
updated
update
cover,
it,
hot off the
and
presses. Let's see that.
the blue version where we wrapped it in string, tied up in string. But what we also did was update it because there were a lot of things that had happened. And, it tells our story from our point of view with our families and um, how we felt about it. And I really love this book. It is a scrapbook. It's totally a scrapbook. And if you love Sound of Music, you will certainly enjoy this book. These are some like projects. That's my writing. I did, when I was in school, we had things like that, scripts and sheets of, our cast sheets and letters written home and stuff like that. And then it kind of brings it up to date at the end. But I love this book. And that's also at angelacartwrightstudio.com. And I will personalize that for you too. So,
I think that's really fantastic. That you obviously, because these productions have meant so much to you, and you're very keen to understanding the emotional connection people make to movies, to television, to music, to art, and to want to not just have been in these and just be known for your brilliant roles and your talent in these, but also to take it to another level and celebrate these productions you were in, these epic, iconic television shows and movies in a way that further connects deeper with the viewer, with the audience, with the consumer of it all. And I think that's fantastic. And you're reliving it as you're doing these projects, these books and things of that nature. And you're connecting deeper with those who have connected with you and have followed you through your career for years. I think that's a beautiful thing to do, Angela.
oh, well, thank you. But the with the Sound of Music book, all of us had our own story to tell. We all came from whatever background. We each wrote our own chapters, and then it was all sewed together.
Yeah. Yeah.
By Fred Bronson. But it is our words, and it's our thoughts, and it's the way we felt about being on this movie. And I think people who enjoy the movie and stuff, when they talk to me about it, they kind of relate to a certain character in it. Maybe they
Yeah.
were Brigitta's age, or maybe they were, Marta's age, or whatever. And so that was their favorite character. Um, and and for that reason, they want to kind of, you know more about the movie and what was it like to work with Julie Andrews, and rehearsals and stuff like that. And there's also a lot of our own personal pictures in this book. It's not all the publicity pictures from 20th. There are some of those, but we also took our own films and our own movies and our own photographs, and that's what we put into this book.
You
So
know,
it kind of made it a, our parents, mine are no longer with us on
yeah.
this plane anyway, but they were a big part of this movie also, because it took They went to Austria. Um, my whole family came over at one point, as the whole family of, a couple of the others also, because it was such a long time. And
Yeah.
they stayed, and then they went on home afterwards. But it was a sacrifice in a lot of ways for those parents to be apart from their families and who they
Yes.
knew. So it's kind of a homage to them and all that were involved in that movie.
Really beautiful. You also, with Bill Mumi, you had an opportunity to put together something that celebrates Lost in Space as well. And it's been updated and a whole host of cool things, isn't it? Tell us about this. Lost and Found in
Ah,
Space too, huh?
okay. This was a fun one to do. Um, Kevin Burns, who's no longer with us, big advocate of Lost in Space, said, "You can have any pictures that you want to do." And he was a huge collector of Lost in Space, and so we started to look at some of these pictures and stuff like that. The pandemic did hit us at around this time, and Bill and I had gotten used to kind of writing. We also wrote a novel together of just doing it by Zoom, by phone, by text, and all of that stuff. So what we found with this book, these pictures kind of jetted us into the memories that went around these pictures. And that's what this book is about. And there's some very funny stories in it. And that was quite an adventure, 3 years and quite an adventure. And that's what this book's about. I love this book. I love them all. They're all my kids.
They are, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this book has a lot of the iconic stuff. If you're a fan of Lost in Space, um, it's really a wonderful gift. And that's also, I got that online also, and Bill signs it and I sign it, and
Oh,
I personalize it, which is kind of nice. And I just got some more delivered because I sold out. So I
and
have,
so, and there's the updated version, right? There's even more
oh, we've
stories and
added
things.
so much more and more stories, and we took it farther also um, than the original one that came out about 5 years ago. There was so much more to tell that it just came. It's like if you're going to start thinking about your high school and what you did, all these stories start coming forth. Ours just happens to be with, like, June Lockhart and, and Guy Williams and these people, but they were a great time. So it's wonderful to take you on that journey with us.
I tell you, really, absolutely amazing. And to be celebrating it in the way that you do and Bill does as well. Encourage folks to check out all of this material on her website. You also had an opportunity, Netflix had Lost in Space 2, to be a part of that as well. What was that like for you?
Well, that was just plain fun
Yeah,
because here was a new cast. It was
yeah,
time to kind of pass the baton, and it was so well done. I don't know if you've watched it, but I really
yes,
thought it was terrific. And then to kind of ask for, I play um, Parker Posey. Is that correct? Parker Posey? Yeah, I guess it is.
yes,
She
yeah.
plays Dr. Smith, and I know it's a woman, so it's kind of confusing, and that's what I'm kind of messing up on. But she played Dr. Smith. Well, I play her mother, and Selma Blair, her mother also, and that was really fun to kind of play this little part in it. And I think for the fans, it's always fun for them to, like, oh my God, Bill's in the second season and third also, with just cameos, but it's enough. You don't need to see that much of us. Just enough to kind of say hello. Thanks for all the years that we were on this show.
Exactly.
I love
Checking in.
doing that. The fans have been
Uh,
so terrific to us over the years. I
have
mean, they're
they?
really fans. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at that great shot.
Oh, me and my little wig. He wanted me to cut all my hair off, and it's like, "Are you kidding? It's the '70s. I'm not gonna cut all my hair. I'm a
Well,
flower girl, flower child." So
well, we have photos that show the longer hair. Look at that.
absolutely, yep, there we go. They braided it under that little wig because they said my hair looked like a shawl on my and
Now, were
so
these during modeling years or?
they were,
Yeah.
yeah, I always was fascinated with, fashion and photography. So my dad took those. This was another photographer, but I did do modeling, and people never really understood why I did modeling after being in television and stuff. But I actually did it to learn,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I got I had some fun times with that too. I got to travel, and I was not a super tall model. I was a junior model, but I did do some cool shots.
Exactly. Television commercials you did as well. And there's something else that you do, which I think is really beautiful. Um, you have done on multiple occasions a phenomenal trip to Europe with folks, taking them to Salzburg and other places. Tell us about that. That is such a, I mean, fans really love you because you're so in touch with them and you give them these experiences, whether it's through the books, other materials, an opportunity to go on trips. I mean, it's like this is of course Sound of Music celebrating, but still, it's like your Angela Cartwright is an immersive experience.
I, I've never called an immersive experience before. Uh, this is just plain fun. I have
Uh,
always had wonderful groups of people go with me, which I have so enjoyed being with. They're true fans of the Sound of Music, and Salzburg looks very much the same as it did when we did our movie. And how many years is that? I mean, this it's just kind of iconic, and you recognize the places right off the bat. So I've done this like 4 years. I am doing it again but I'm going to do it in spring. I usually do Christmas, but we got hit with the pandemic, of course, and I wasn't going to go with anybody where you had to, we sing. We can't have masks on. We have to sing. So,
right.
I couldn't go over those times when Austria was closed down. But I do think in spring of 2023, I think we're almost all booked up, but it's certainly worth calling craft tours and asking if you have any interest in going to Salzburg and traipsing around Austria in our play clothes.
Very beautiful.
I tell you behind the scenes stories. You get to see a beautiful country, Bavaria, and places in Austria. We go to the Von Trapp house. And because it's spring, there's all sorts of other things that I've added on to this particular trip. And Craft Tours is wonderful travel agency that travels all over the world to the most wonderful places. And you get to really immerse yourself and experience the art of these places.
Speaking of art, what a fabulous, you're a good segue person. You are an artiste, and you have one of the things that I was telling you before we went live on air was, and thanks to everybody for all these beautiful comments. I mean, everybody is commenting, and we've been showing some of the comments on the screen. They love you. They're happy that you're here. They remember you're in so many different roles. They continue to follow you. They're following Bill. They're just really, very dedicated to our show and to you guys, which I think is absolutely fantastic. You have, separate from all of these other things that everybody knows about, these shows and movies and great television productions, you have your own thing. You're an artiste, you're a brilliant artiste, and you have wonderful books that complement that as well. Tell us about some of these.
Oh, in this house, this was a project that Sarah Fishburne and I did, where we just wanted to know if you were going to interpret your house, how would you do that?
Mm,
And so this book shows all these different artists and how they took this same template and created their own house. And we followed that up with In This Garden, which was the same kind of idea. But what's so fascinating is every artist has their own incredible interpretation of things, and none of them came out the same. And we were just so blown away by the beauty of a lot of these, the rooms and the gardens, and everybody has kind of a little theme. But I think it's a very inspiring book, both of these. And I also did a book, Mixed Emulsions, which was showing how to do altered art techniques, use photographs, which I love, and color them and stamp them and use them and create different visions. I just found this one today, which is I took in Austria. This is a photograph, but it's hand painted. And I just love this little place here. Just makes you want to go there, doesn't it?
It
And that's
does.
the kind of thing you can do from your photographs. This was hand painted in oils, but there's just so many different ways to kind of interpret stuff. If you can't draw, take pictures, and get good at it. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And I really feel like you have to kind of get out in the world and put your feet in the grass and look at the clouds and, kind of feel what the earth's about to be able to
Yes.
kind of, put it out there.
Is that a Virgo thing, you think? You're a Virgo and your birthday's coming up, and my birthday's coming up,
Ah,
September. Are you're September or are you August?
no, I'm September 9th.
The 24th.
I'm
So
going to
yeah.
be 70 this year. 70.
No.
Yes. I can't
No.
believe it myself. But what is it? It's a number.
Happy
I believe I'm
birthday
stepping on a
to
photograph.
you. Happy birthday to you.
Oh,
Fabulous. That is
no.
fantastic.
It's every day's got to be a new adventure and a journey. You just can't like kind of sit and not do anything. That's me anyway. I
Yes.
want to live as much as I can live for as long
You
as I have here.
you have and are and continue to inspire and entertain and just enlighten in such a fantastic way. Your kids, any follow into the arts or any of this world at all?
Yeah, well, my daughter's she's a producer, showrunner, and she, works all the time, and she's married to a director, producer. Um, and my son, he's in business, but he's very creative. And I'm just very blessed with them and their chosen spouses and the grandkids that they have given me. Lovely kids. Um, I've got four grandkids.
Now, do they see you in these TV shows and the movies and everything else? Do they say, "Wait a minute, she looks familiar"? Wait, that's got to be a very cool thing for them and for you
Well, it
and for the
was like
parents?
they first were putting it together. That's you. That's you as a kid. The difference is that kids today, they have video that they can look at themselves. And, in my day, you didn't have video. So it was like, that's not possible that's that person. But today, because they can see themselves in video, I think they make the connection a little better. But yeah, my granddaughter, Addie, I think she's very kind of proud I was in Sound of Music because she usually tells people when we meet, I'm like, Addie, that shouldn't be the first thing out of your mouth. My grandmother was in
The
Sound of
Sound
Music.
of Music.
It's like my agent. She's adorable, and I just, it's sweet.
Oh yeah. Now you don't have to do this, but I think I had learned that you know for any of us when we were kids, just to even say this forward was, you had to practice, but you can say it backwards, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Yep.
You were able to say it backwards?
Julie Andrews herself taught it to us, and I've remembered it to this day, and I shall do it for you now. Docious
Fantastic.
aliexballistic fragile I told you, some things you never forget, and that's one of them.
Where's the Academy Award? I mean, to say that backwards. So Julie Andrews taught you that, huh?
She did. You can tell in the movie how much we adored her. And she would entertain us
Was she
between.
like a motherly figure, a caretaker type?
She was like our Fräulein. We
Yeah.
absolutely adored her. She taught us. She had just finished Mary Poppins, so she taught us all those songs. And of course, she has the most charming accent in the world. We could all talk like Julie.
Yes.
And she's just so sweet. When we saw her, where she got her award, her Lifetime Achievement Award,
Oh, yeah.
she just embraced us all, and it was so good to see us. And she is a lovely, iconic person for sure.
I
And
have
we
a
love her to
question
this day.
because you're from there, and my father's side of the family, they hail from Yorkshire, England.
Oh, yeah.
And then they came over and they settled in New York City and then spread out from there. My father's mother's side of the family came from Ireland. They settled in New York. My mother, her family from the New England area. My mother's the youngest of 16, big family, English as well,
Right.
and Swedish and French. Do you think that's a certain British thing, maybe? Like you say, you're talking about Julie just being so. There's a certain something. There's a certain class. There's a certain respect, dignity, or something of that time as well that I think a lot of people are attracted to and might even miss today. A little bit of that just British savoir-faire, just a little bit of that, which you have as well. I mean,
I know that it still exists in Middle America. Um,
oh, yes. I
so
just came from Wisconsin and it's there.
it's so prevalent, the kindness and the
Yes.
thoughtfulness. And
Yes.
boy, I really like going there. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to kind of, be thinking about other people instead of just yourself, and being kind and thoughtful and talking. Um, I love that. I really do. And I love going back there and visiting.
Did do people think when you mentioned, coming from England that you can turn right into a British accent? And are you able to?
Well, when I go there, I
Yeah,
absolutely pick it up immediately.
you do.
And I do, I can pretty much if I think about it a little bit. A little bit of char. I've got my tea right here.
There
I
you
can,
go. Look at the
yeah,
size of that. Look at the size of the.
I know. It was a big cup of tea. I told you I'm tired. I had to have a big cup of caffeine. So it's not you, Deb. It's just that I had to have
I,
some.
I love it. It's you look very something about just the outfit, the
You
tea,
know,
everything around you, behind you. It's almost as if you are in a cottage in England. Tell us about, sometimes the guests tell us about the room that they're in. You've got a lot of beautiful creativity there. Uh, we'll do a little Edward R. Murrow and person to person. We're now coming to the home of Angela Cartwright. Uh, Angela, tell us about the room that you are in.
this just my art room, and I have I don't even know what I've got here right now. I've got some art that I just kind of have put together. I've just got drawers of inks and different things. And I've got you see my Union Jack right there in my pillow. It's this room is just totally my area. It's a mess sometimes. Sometimes it's much cleaner. But I have lots of books. I love books. And, I surround myself creatively. No matter what it is, you don't have to just do art. I mean, you can make food, you can, cut flowers, you can do whatever it is that you are drawn to, that you can do beautifully. I like beauty. Oh, I got my little Salzburg bag here. See, you see Salzburg right there. Yeah, there's a lot of shit around here, isn't there? I'm sorry. I'm just thinking of all this stuff.
Everybody's shocked. Wait, Penny Robinson? Ms. Von Trapp just said,
Get to be my age, you can pull it off. You know what I mean?
I'm sure on some sets, even when you were a kid, you probably heard some of that along the way.
Absolutely.
When sets broke and cables didn't work and lights burned out and things happened, it's all
Yeah.
part of the.
Yeah, there were a
That
few of those moments, I must say.
I have to say, you have such a beautiful voice. I do a lot of voiceover work in the industry, and I know you've done voice work. You just have, it's a flowing, friendly, warm, non-threatening sound. Do you get asked to do a lot of voice work to narrate? Because if you don't, you should. You've got a very, very appealing sound to your voice. It's a beautiful sound.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's on my bucket list to actually be a cartoon voice. I would love to do that. That's on my list to do. I do have a voiceover agent. I do them here and there, but I've never been a cartoon voice for a character. Well, no, I take that back.
You did something with this, right? With Jonathan Harris and
trying to think of the name of that thing. Yeah,
the Bolt Who Screwed Christmas.
Yes, a classic. Actually, it is very cute.
It is, yeah.
I did, but you know what I
And
mean.
Bill Movie were in there, and everybody, yeah.
Yes,
Jonathan Harris and
cool. But I actually, I mean, I just would like to be a cartoon voice for something. That's on my list of things. I did this, so I did do it, I guess.
what's that? I mean, I like the Bolt Who Screwed Christmas. What a funny name too. It was a really. I love this. This is you like to have fun. You are very creative, and I can see that online as well. Boom. I mean, boom.
That was my new white hair.
I mean, what a great look. I mean, you look like, a rocker from the 80s. I mean, it's really cool. Like, belt out a song on stage, It's a cool.
Yeah,
That hair color is fantastic. Very becoming. Somebody else that did that, she's a friend. She was also a recent guest on the show. And of course, you know her. Lucy Arnaz did that as well. And she went with that color hair, and then she was asking people, what do you think? Do you like the darker? Do you like this? And everybody said, Lucy, keep it, like that color, because it's very becoming. It is with you too.
Well, I was hoping.
I mean, this does look fantastic as well, but so is this.
Years ago, but it's such a big deal for people to go their natural hair color.
Yes.
And I'm sure I thought about it for a while because, getting your hair colored, it's not that great for you.
Yeah.
Who knows what's in that stuff? But
right. Yeah.
Also, I knew it was going to be a big change. Now, my mother had pure white hair.
Did she?
And
yeah.
I was hoping that I would also have pure white hair.
And naturally, it would just go that way. Yeah.
And it did. It's pure white. That it sure is. But, I had someone say something very interesting to me. She had this long gray hair. And I was still dyeing my hair at the time. And I said, oh, my God, I love your hair. I'm really thinking about doing that. And she looked at me and she said, if you decide to go gray or white or whatever your natural hair color is, own it. And I thought that is the best advice. I mean, if you're going to do something like that, just own it totally, and so that's what I did. I just said, I'm doing this. I'm going white. And that's what I did. And you know what? Some people hate it. Some love it. Some are caught, with wanting to have me be 20 again. I'd love to be 20. No, I don't think I'd want to be 20 again. But dark hair and all of that,
Would you want to be this age again? What a cutie. Wow.
I'm a little
hire that girl. She's got, like Lou Grant said to Mary Tyler Moore, she's got spunk.
Yeah, My little modeling days, those were very, look at how big that stool is. That's funny. That was what I did these pictures. I did many, many modeling jobs. And that was my parrot, who I called Danny. He was a half moon parrot. But that was an Angela Cartwright outfit.
That's
I had
right.
a whole clothing line that I
Whole
wore on the
clothing
show.
line, and
Yeah.
that's what
Um,
they did back then. They had clothing, and they had dolls, and they had lunch boxes, and all kinds
and
of things. Right. All kinds of incredible things that they would have, over the years, and you've been in so many other movies and other productions and commercials. We were just really scratching the surface of just a few of the widely known ones. What are some of those blessings and joys in your life that continue? You've, like I've said to some of the other guests that have come through, and in my professional work in TV and radio, you've done so much already. You could easily be in South Florida with your feet in the sand, swaying on a hammock with a banana colada, just saying, you know what? I did good. I've done all of this. I'm good. But you're still creating. You're still, with everything you do, with your jewelry and your art, and you're still somebody who wants to stay connected, and you still want to inspire and entertain and lighten the load for people and put a smile on their face. Where does that come from? You've been doing it since you were a toddler. Where does this come from, and what sustains it today for you, the blessings and joys in your life, Angela?
I don't know. I don't know. That just must be something in my id that makes me want to not just sit around and read or do something like that. I don't know. I think I probably will do it till I can't do it anymore. Um, Not that I don't have my slow moments. I do, where I just will sit and enjoy just being. But yeah, I like creating. It keeps me alive. And I think also, like, the pandemic kind of slowed everything down so much. I really needed a jolt to kind of, and travel does that. If you travel, you see new people and you experience new things. And I think people do need to do those things that are on their bucket list. They need to save up and be able to go and do those things.
Yeah.
um, and it's so tough nowadays. I think in a lot of ways, people are kind of between, do I work, and it's hard, and this is tough, and life is difficult right now. But I do believe that we'll all get out of this. I mean, we'll kind of lift ourselves up if we're all feeling like we can. I mean, we have to believe we're going to have better times ahead.
When you look at this career and all of these incredible things you've done, and we, again, just really scratched the surface, could you ever have scripted anything like this? Could you ever have imagined that these opportunities would have come your way? Obviously, they came your way because you've got pure talent. You were gifted from above, from your family. It's in the genes, and you've loved it, and 110% giving to all of us. So these folks wouldn't have, called up and had you in The Sound of Music and all these other, Lost in Space, and continue to do so if there wasn't something there, that it factor, that star factor, and being somebody who can get it done and enjoy the ride as you have. Could you have ever imagined things being the way they are? You've been able to balance marriage, children, home and hearth with a career. Not always easy to do. It's quite blessed, and a beautiful life lived as you inspire other people. Could you
Well,
ever
I
scripted
don't
any of this?
I mean, some of the things that's happened to me, I don't think I could have even imagined. But I think you can you could manifest your happiness, but you have to be very clear about it. What it is
Yes.
that it makes you happy, because otherwise, I think the universe doesn't quite know what to do with you.
Right. It's like, okay, you want this, but then yesterday you wanted that, tomorrow you want that.
Sometimes you know what you are working towards, but you're not sure how you're going to get there. And I always, there's a lot of surprising things that happen in the meantime, um, that I think, I mean, I know what my mother and father, they just wanted us to be happy. And so I think they actually made that happen
Yeah.
because, whatever your happiness is, we weren't in the business and miserable. We were, in the business and enjoying it. So that, I think, a lot of people do stuff that they don't really find enjoyment with. So how do you get out of that? You just have to, think about, be clear. You have to, and you know what? We have to be educated. We have
Yeah.
to read. We have to find different things that people think, how they think, and why do they think so differently than I think?
Yeah.
And what makes them tick? Why are they like that? Why is that unattractive? I don't want to be that. We have to think. We can't just exist. We have to learn. And we have to learn a lot, I think, from history too.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's really important because sometimes, we don't, and then you end up making the same mistakes again and again. So that's very, very important. Beautifully said. I want to make mention. We've got to mention this too on purpose.
Mm.
Um, Beautiful segue to even what you're talking about here. Tell us about this. This is special too. And there's you're redoing this. It's going to be titled something else, I think, at some point.
Yeah, we've actually, this was a story, and this happened at a period in my life when I just was like, okay, my kids are grown. I was there for them. Nothing was more important than raising my kids and being there for them. So I didn't want somebody else raising my kids. So I kind of did step back from show business, but I still had this kind of hunger for creativity, which is why I got into art and stuff, because that's something I could do at the same time. But this all happened at a period of time when I just didn't know. It was like a black abyss. I had no idea what is my purpose. And I think a lot of people go through this in their lifetime. They start to reevaluate. Their kids are grown. What do you? What do you love? What do you want to accomplish in life? And I was talking with Bill, and we have this friendship, and we have different ideas about certain things. We think differently, and we created this story, and it is a fairy tale. This story that Pilwinnie is the leading character, and Briggan is her kind of hero that goes along, and they go on this adventure to find out what is her purpose so that she can be a good fairy, and bring something to the world. And they fight evil, um, and the devil in his disguise. I adore this book. I don't really know where it came from. It was obviously a story that was bubbling up in me and in Bill, and we actually sewed it all together. And I think it's a really good book. And I don't know, we might change the name of it. Stolen Imaginations. I don't know. We're going to name it something else and put it out again. I think I have no idea. But yeah, this it's a really interesting tale if you like that kind of fantasy adventure. And Bill's very good at writing it because he wrote many comic books.
Yes.
And he's very talented that way. So it's a novel, and I'm proud of that novel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And I wanted to make sure we definitely mentioned that because I know that was something quite special for you. The jewelry and everything else is another thing that people might not even realize, that you do. And I think that's fantastic. Your art is also collected around the world, isn't it?
Well, there's people I get orders for, my art and my clothing all the time from all over the world, because and now the internet has kind of brought us all so much closer in communication.
Yes.
Can actually see what's going on in different places and
Is there
different.
anything that you're wearing that is of your creation right now?
I don't know, is there? Let me think. This is actually a friend of mine's creation. I kind of wear her block prints. She's going through kind of a tough time right now, so I kind of I'm wearing her stuff to bring good energy to her. But no, I don't have it on right now. But I have a lot of wraps and scarves, and it was an idea I had years and years ago of taking my photography and printing it on a scarf. This side does not look particularly like this side. It wasn't a repeat pattern, but I couldn't find anybody to print such a thing. And over the years, now it is possible to do that. You weren't able to do that at one point, where you couldn't print on material um, a whole image of a photograph or a painting or something
Right.
like that. And it's come so far. You can get my stuff through Vita. There's a link on my website. It's got all sorts of links to stuff and adventures and pictures, and it can be quite confusing. I think it's like going through a museum of my life, and I always am adding new stuff to that. And my other website, which is A Cartwright Studios, my art website, and that is actually the journey of my art, which has gone through many, many phases. And right now, I'm really into drawing these sketches of these people. I don't know who they are. They must be spirit guides or something. People I've known in my life, or I have been. I have no idea. But I draw these women and these men, also these people, and I'm quite into that. And I'm going to start doing it bigger. Actually, that's what I'm going to be working on.
That's fantastic, huh? Is any of your material in any galleries or anything where people can hesitate? Have you been solicited to put the stuff in galleries?
It has been. I've been in several shows when I had my photography. I had a different show every year
Yeah.
here in Los Angeles. Right now, I can't really talk about it, but I do have a project in my mind that I would love to manifest, and then I will start showing that again. But we'll see if that even comes about. I have to make that happen first.
Do you
And if
believe
it
in that?
happens, we'll come on your show and I'll tell you it happened.
Yes, absolutely. You believe in that too, like I do. You can manifest sort of the positive energy, manifest things in life, can't you?
Absolutely, we have to manifest positivity to kind of overshadow the evils of what's happened. So um, that's our only weapon, I'm afraid, at this point, to be positive and just do good. We just want
Yeah.
to do good. We just
Ex-
want to make people happy, or make them laugh, or
yes.
make them enjoy life a little more.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you, your parents really raised you guys well, as did mine. We were blessed. They're loving parents, home and hearth. Do good in school. We'll always be here for you. Congratulations on that. The freedom to still, structure and form, but still the freedom to grow and explore. Not so tight where you're not allowed to explore. Sounds like your parents struck a wonderful balance with you, where you had the structure and you always knew you can come home and they're there supporting and loving, but also gave you opportunity to breathe and find out who Angela is and partake in some of these amazing things in life. And that's why you were able to also get through a lot of these things, especially as a child star, where we see these stories where child stars, unfortunately, when a role ends that they're known for, they don't know what to do next and they
Yeah.
can't reinvent themselves, and things that aren't so pleasant happen. You've been able to, keep going. And I think the foundation that was initially established by the parents and the family was invaluable for you, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I do believe a lot of my upbringing, as I said, I had my limits, and I did. They were good people. They were very reserved, but they were very kind people. I don't know anybody that was kinder than my father. He was just such a lovely man.
What was his name?
John
John.
John Vincent, yeah.
And your
Cart.
mom?
And my mom was Margaret Mary. Um, and they were lovely people.
Yeah.
And they, it must have been really hard because, having kids in show business, you have to drive them around. And, my
Yeah.
sister didn't get on a series right away, and she went on interviews, and sure, they made mistakes, and there were things that were confusing or scary. Um, and I have always, with my own kids, made sure, I may not always approve of everything, but my kids know they can talk to me about anything. And
Yes.
I'm not going to, I'm going to say how I feel about something, but I'm not going to judge them. And I think that has really helped them become really productive adults who have a conscience, and they're really hard workers.
Yeah.
Working really makes you feel good about yourself, I think. I can't imagine life without working
Yeah.
myself.
Right.
I, it just makes you feel very productive.
Plugged in, right? You're plugged in, and you're still a part of the world, which I think is a beautiful thing. And you have been for a long time, and that's why I think people gravitate to you in the way that they do, Angela. I know you're very humble about it, but which I think is refreshing to see as well. And a beautiful artist, penning these fantastic books, keeping connected with fans, and really appreciating the gifts that came your way, not just because these are iconic TV shows and movies, but just these opportunities to reach people on levels that maybe you wouldn't have ever been able to reach. And it's been a gift, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. No,
Still
I'm very
is.
grateful for the life that I've been able to have. I've had many opportunities, but I've also really wanted to take advantage of those opportunities and not let them pass me by because I've been fearful or um, I was a very quiet child. I was not a very gregarious child, which is interesting when you see some of the lines I said on the Danny Thomas show.
Yes, that's what I said. You were like spot on. You were
I,
like
I
you
was
were
not.
ahead of your delivery was terrific.
This was, a character I was
Yeah.
playing. Maybe
You
it was, I was happy to play it, but there's things I never would have said to my parents.
no.
And I don't know. I think appreciating the things that came my way, that definitely came from my parents. I used to do a lot of fundraising for people and go to Junior Blind and, all St. Jude's, all these things that help less fortunate than ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of stayed with me over the years. I'm very, very grateful for all the blessings that I've had. And I hope that people can recognize what they have in themselves, those good things, and to concentrate on those things.
That's what matters most. Those simple things in life truly are what matter most. I want to show people the website as well. There it is, gang. This one is the Angela Cartwright Studio, and you can see there's a lot of great things in here. You can actually see some of the artwork as well, which I think is really, really cool.
Yeah, I have some of my little pieces for sale. Those are is jewelry and stuff.
This is really cool, huh?
Oh, and those all come on little drawings that I've made.
This is fantastic. So again, gang, you can see everything that's here when you go to this website. And this is just a little bit of a preview. We wanted to show this, and you can see the Lost in Space and
That's
some
my
favorite things and all kinds of epic photos over the years on this website. So this is the studio website, and somebody had typed in, what was the address to see the artwork? Is that separate from this one, or is this the site?
Yeah, well, there is art for sale on my shop here, and that's under the you go up a little bit, just on the pictures. Oh, well, back at that other page. There are some of my smaller pieces and some of my artwork. See me holding that picture right there? It's the art vault. And then there's artworks that are there and art prints. Those are all things that are available for sale. But the other website, which is acartwrightstudio.com, is just, you can get to that by clicking on this right here, this blue. I'm pointing like to the screen, like you can see it. This blue, yeah, the blue thing there. Doesn't that say? That's
There it is.
That's just a combination of looking at some of my art over the years. I printed a magazine called Pasticcio Quartz, and just, I don't know, it's just all sorts of stuff is there, and different kinds of artwork. And I tell you, you can go through that for hours and hours.
How long have you been doing this? Were you, is this something you were doing, when you were a teenager? I mean, how long have you been doing the art? It's fantastic.
The photography, my parents gave me a camera when I was 15 years old. My dad loved photography, and I used to go and be a fashion model with my new outfits, and he used to take pictures. And then he taught me how to develop film and print my own photographs. And so I started, I guess, when I always drew. I always loved art day. We always had Fridays was art day if you got all your work done. And that was in my studio school. And then I think it just grew from there. Oh, those are my Sound of Music adventures. Those are just portfolios. And then I had always just pictures from the trip and the things that we see. And I mean, look at Salzburg. It's like just
spectacular, huh?
Yeah. And these are just photographs that, the places that I take people on the tour, so that they can have that adventure. And that address and stuff is all on the site there. And then there's also in those photographs, if you go back, I had always wanted to see the Aurora Borealis. And
oh, yeah.
I did that up in Canada in Yellowknife.
Is that on this page here?
No, you got to go back one, and it's in the gallery. It kind of go back.
In this here?
No, those are all Sound of Music pictures. Can you back? I don't see an arrow there for you to go back, but.
Oh, is it the Northern Lights?
Yeah, the Northern Lights. That was a trip. It was 28 below. That's the coldest I've ever been in.
There you go. There it is.
But we slept in, we sat in those teepees, and then the wolves would howl, and then you would see the lights.
Wow.
And my camera would just freeze up sometimes. Cold. Oh, but what an adventure. I went with 3 friends, and, it's out of those things that you want to experience that comes this kind of wanting to, be creative and explore more. It just, it's great, those things. And it may be in your own backyard. It doesn't have to be somewhere, like Yellowknife, Alaska.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It just happened to be, you know, an adventure I always wanted to take. But it is really something. You really feel uh, there's just something very spiritual about being in that environment with the lights doing what they're doing. I don't know, the
Absolutely.
universe is doing something.
Really fantastic. Again, there is the website again, angelacartwrightstudio.com. We wanted to pull that up just to show you some of the visuals while Angela is with us and sort of narrate that for you a little bit. And you did a phenomenal job. And really, really fantastic. So I encourage you to go there, gang, and click on that blue picture to go further into the actual artwork as well. A couple of things that our viewers have been saying, which is extraordinary. God has truly blessed you with a wonderful life. Thank you for all the joy you have brought to us throughout the years. You are a beautiful human. That's Maureen watching, one of our lovelies in Arizona.
Oh, it's
And
so
Linda Johnson, this has been wonderful. Thank you, Jim and Angela. And Sherry in Kansas. Thank you, Jim. You're welcome. Joseph Rhinone Jr. in Connecticut. Thank you, Jim and Angela, for such a wonderful interview. Angela, your positivity is very inspiring.
oh,
I love that. And that's why we don't even call these interviews. We call these like conversations, like Cavett and Carson. And Dina says, doing good and looking for the positive. That's exactly what I needed to hear tonight. You are a beautiful soul, Angela. Very nice. And we really appreciate
it's
that.
really touching me. I'm so very moved.
Yeah, this is what we do all the time on our show. Marsha Watson, great show tonight, Jim. Thank you for bringing Angela to visit with us. Kathleen Walker in New York City. It's a blessing if you love what you do. Some aren't so lucky, so you're very lucky. Pam says, thank you for a wonderful show, Ms. Cartwright and Jim. Angela, you inspire and keep on shining brightly in this world. Kathleen, Angela, you're so lovely. What a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for being here and sharing
Oh,
your life with us. You are a true lovety. See, I told you they already designated her a Jim Masters show lovety. Sherry says, thank you for sharing with us tonight, Angela. I have always looked up to you as I grew up. As someone said earlier, I always wanted you as my big sister.
aw,
Isn't that cool? That would have
yeah.
been cool, huh? You could have been on the Lost in Space set and the Sound of Music, and you could have.
Oh,
That would have been. Neil says, I've been a fan forever. From your lips to God's ears, Angela. Just really beautiful. Pam says she had the Shirley Temple doll.
yeah.
And yeah, just really some beautiful. Angela looks amazing. God bless. Really, really beautiful comments. Thanks, gang. We really appreciate all your heartfelt comments, and there's tons of them here. We just, Angela, I have admired you and your talent since I was a little girl. I always thought you were so pretty. And now look at the beautiful woman you are today. I
Another
also, yeah, you've got a lot of sisters out
lot
there, huh?
of wood.
I was going to say, really, really fantastic. This has been extraordinary, and we just roll with it. We don't say, oh, we'll do 20 minutes or whatever. For as long as the guest can be with us, if it's 20 minutes, a half hour, what have you, we just roll with it. And this was absolutely fantastic. And somebody that usually pops in towards the latter part that just likes to say a quick hello, Mr. George Burns is with us.
Oh, how cute.
Isn't that cool? That's the collectible doll. My aunt, one of my mother's sisters, collected dolls. I mean, like a floor filled with all of these real collectible dolls. Technically, he's supposed to be wrapped and, not really supposed to be touching him. But this is when he hit that golden age. They came out with this one and with a cigar and his hanky and the whole bit. And I did a nostalgic episode a while back of the series. And I brought him out and everybody fell in love with him. And he said, Angela, you knocked it out of the park tonight, kiddo. He loved all of it. And he sends you with his love and Gracie's love, continued joy and blessing in your life from George himself.
You
Do you ever come across him in your travels over the years?
never have seen him.
Yeah.
You know, I love Blythe dolls. They're so weird, but I love
Yeah. Oh,
their
yeah.
particular kind of doll with the big face and eyes, and I just really love them. So I can see why you're so attracted to having George Burns there with you.
George Burns is something else, I tell you, as are you. You are amazing. You're a treasure. And we really thank you for the time, for your wit and wisdom, for everything that you have done in the career for the betterment and entertainment of all of us. And you continue to inspire us. You're welcome back anytime. And I hope the show met whatever expectations you had, Angela, and you enjoyed the time with me as much as I absolutely have with you.
Oh, it's fun talking to you. And anything that comes up, and I'll give you a call and let you know. So you
I
and
would love
your lovedies
the
can.
Lovities, right? Of all the accolades, did you ever think that you would be considered? You know, I say there's Emmys, Tonys, Peabodys, Tellys, Oscars, Grammys. But when you are a Lovity on the Jim Master Show live, most guests say their feet start tingling. Are your feet tingling right about now?
Indeed, I'm going to have to get up and run around.
Marsha Lyon is in Massachusetts, and she says, I've been a fan of yours from your early years on through, and it's been a very interesting and informative show to hear what you've been doing currently, and thank you for sharing. Pam
Oh,
says, a national treasure, and then she goes, better yet, an international
wow.
treasure. If you ever need a quick pick-me-up, stop by the Jim Masters Show, Angela.
Follow me on Instagram or
Yes, there's the website, all the sights and sounds. And any final words about the show or conversation or anything you're excited about coming up, my friend?
been fun talking to you, and thanks for having me on the show. And I hope people enjoyed it. Certainly, the ones that wrote in had a few words, and I love hearing that. I was very touched. Thank you.
The
So,
pleasure is all mine. The
so
pleasure.
long farewell.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Angela. You're the best. I really appreciate it. Continued blessing and joy. We'll keep the porch light on for you, and let's stay connected. Hopefully, we'll be in the same zip code and maybe break bread. That would be wonderful. You're
Perfect.
amazing.
Thank you.
You have
Night,
a wonderful night. Bye-bye now.
bye.
There she goes, like in Lost to Space. And isn't she really something? She literally just landed from a flight. And I know because I was on 4 planes last week when we went from the East Coast to Wisconsin for the television shoot. And then we had to transfer in Baltimore. I didn't mention this to you guys, but we got stuck in the Baltimore airport because of horrific storms that happened. So our flight from Milwaukee was delayed 5 hours. And then we were stuck with hundreds of other people from all these other flights for 8 hours overnight in Baltimore, Washington airport. And then they lost the luggage. We did get the luggage back and a $200 voucher to another flight, but it was an interesting return because we had 4 flights, one from here that had to transfer in Baltimore, then go to Milwaukee, and then coming back from Milwaukee for that television project back to Baltimore. And then storms came and threw off everything. And it was crazy. But we're back and we're headed to Sacramento, California, Reno, Nevada, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and Dallas, Texas for television projects as well. How special was this? Is she not a delight? You know what's wonderful about these shows that we do? We don't call these interviews. These are really conversations. We don't script this out. We just have really good Dick Cavett, Carson style, Steve Allen style conversations. Here you got a chance to really not just learn about Lost in Space, Sound of Music, the things you would have expected to hear, but you also had an opportunity to really learn about the person behind all of that. You got a true sense of Angela, the extraordinary talent, right? The person that you've always admired. You've seen her in all these shows and movies and things, followed her career. But at the same time, you got a chance to learn about who she is and what motivates her and her passions, her art, other things that she does as a well-rounded person. From these days all the way to today, she has kept the smile, she's kept the passion. We talked about a lot of cool things. There she is. This is like 1956, 3 years old, starring in this movie with Paul Newman, Somebody Up There Likes Me. Now you guys are going to check all these things out, right? And of course, the Danny Thomas Show, Make Room for Daddy, which you can still see. I believe it's also released on DVD too. You can see all of these things on some of those nostalgic TV networks, Me TV, Antenna TV, Cozy TV, Decades. Those are great networks. Some more shots from Make Room for Daddy. The Lucy Desi Comedy Hour, we were just watching that. And she had said, I know that was a hilarious episode and that Lucy was very funny, Lucille Ball. Hey, if you didn't see the episode when Lucy Arnaz was on our show, check that out. We had an epic conversation with our friend Lucy Arnaz. Here's another wonderful shot of Angela Cartwright. And again, we showed the dolls too. There was a Linda Williams doll that was out. And of course, there is young Miss Von Trapp, The Sound of Music, an epic role. And there's all the kids together. Yeah. And of course, didn't you love learning about the Sound of Music family scrapbook that she put together? And what was really special is she had the books with her. We were chatting before we went live on the air, and I said, if you have any materials that you want to show on camera, have it there and we'll show it for you. And she opened up the scrapbook and she showed us a lot of great photos and things of that nature, which I think was very special and exclusive. Talked about working with the iconic and wonderful Julie Andrews, the incomparable Christopher Plummer, who we lost not that long ago. And there was, and it wasn't a movie, but it was actually a publicity photo. Christmas, Sound of Music. Yeah. And of course, how could we not have talked about one of my favorite shows too as a kid? And that Lost in Space robot, you got it. I did get that. And it did come out of it was under the Christmas tree one Christmas. And it was in the Sears Wish book, when the kids used to circle all the toys in the back of the book that they hoped Santa Claus would bring. The Lost in Space robot, which is very collectible now, was one. And he would blink, Danger, Will Robinson, that whole thing. And and the voice too would be on there. It was really a cool thing. Back at that point, a lot of the toys reflected what kids saw on TV. A lot of the TV shows and a lot of the movies and the cartoons and everything. There would be toys that would match what kids were seeing on TV, which was kind of cool. She talked about working with the incomparable June Lockhart. If you missed any of this, you can see it all archived here on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Share the links. If you enjoyed this episode, spread the word about our series. Let everybody know about the Jim Masters Show. And binge watch all the other episodes. There's almost 750 shows we have done, gang. There they are. Isn't that incredible? June Lockhart. Great stories about the incomparable actor, Jonathan Harris. When they cut her hair. Beyond the Poseidon Adventure. You remember the original, of course. And there she is with the robot. You Raise Me Up. Great stories with her friend, Bill Momi. And of course, Bill, an incredible actor. I hope to get him on the show too. That would be wonderful. I've always admired his work. And I remember him in The Twilight Zone too. You remember The Twilight Zone where the grandmother passes away and he's got his toy phone and he hears his grandmother talking to him on the phone. He was in a couple of really cool episodes of The Twilight Zone and a lot of other shows. She mentioned that her favorite Lost in Space episode is this one, My Friend, Mr. Nobody. She just loved it. Of course, the later Make Room for Granddaddy in color on ABC. Short-lived, but she was a part of it. The reunion with many of the cast from The Sound of Music, that was on the Oprah Winfrey Show. There's another great shot that we just scooped up, Angela there. And she's been on our televisions for years. Here's another great one too. We didn't mention this one, but this is a terrific one. You know, of course, she mentioned they stayed in touch with Danny Thomas. There she is with Danny Thomas as well. And really fantastic shot there. Don't forget this, gang, for the real Lost in Space fans. Lost in Space. This is a great one. Lost and Found in Space 2. Blast Off. This is the expanded edition, gang. They upgraded if you have the other one, this is the updated one, which is very cool. And she did this with Bill Mumy, who played her brother, of course, on the series. She had some wonderful stories about this as well. This novel, near and dear to her heart, On Purpose. This, something very special. That's Marilyn Monroe on the cover there. But this, if you joined us late, this is something very, very special. This is the award-winning coffee table book, Styling the Stars, Lost Treasures from the 20th Century Fox Archive, which offers never-before-seen photographs and behind-the-scenes exclusive glimpses inside Hollywood's 20th Century Fox archives, available in paperback. There are rare photos in here from, you know, on set, in the dressing rooms, and so much more that was never available for the public to see. And she compiled it all in Styling the Stars. Again, you can go to her website, angelacartwrightstudio.com. Let her know you heard about it on the Jim Masters Show series. We'll take a look at some of your comments, too. See a lot of comments built up. The Netflix Lost in Space 2, she was in that as well. Wouldn't you love to travel to Austria? I have an aunt, actually, who comes from Austria. They live in Massachusetts. My Aunt Dorith, Dorith. She's from Vienna. And I always love talking about Austria with her Austrian German accent. Can you imagine taking a trip with Angela back to the Sound of Music land? Don't forget these books as well. In this house, and in this garden. She had wonderful stories. Mixed Emulsions. This is all about her artwork. This too, we didn't mention this. I forgot to mention this when she was on, but isn't this cool? That's actually a doll. That is her. That's a doll. It's like the Lost in Space doll. And I believe that's Bloop with her as well. So those are her companions in her art studio. Isn't that cool? The companions in the art studio. Bloop, along with, and that's a doll, as is the Penny Robinson doll there in the Lost in Space attire. Isn't that cool? That's with her in her art studio. I forgot to mention that. I was going to mention that to her, but that's cool. She talked about the new hairstyle and the modeling and all these other cool things. Doing this voiceover too with Jonathan Harris and Billy Mumy. And again, this cool animated special, The Bolt Who Screwed Christmas. Isn't that a funny name? That's a funny name. Really cool stuff, gang. And take a look at some of your comments before we wrap up this wonderful episode of the Jim Masters Show live series. I do want to let you know that, boy, this is really an amazing week of guests. I mean, they all are. But tomorrow, we have somebody extra special, too. We have rising child star Christian Gainier. He is in that really popular series, Stranger Things. He was also on Days of Our Lives. He was also on Grey's Anatomy. the series 911, and lots more. We have an epic conversation in store for you live from Los Angeles, California, with rising star actor Christian Guinier. He's really a cool kid. His parents, James and Rebecca Guinier, are epic performers, authors, directors. I mean, really, really accomplished people. They were guests on our show last year. Christian's going to be here tomorrow. And look who is with us on Friday. Now, it's a special time if you want to join us live. It's earlier. It's 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. So earlier time, adjust your watches. The incomparable Florence LaRue is with us, music legend, actress, singer, original member of the Fifth Dimension. You know that legendary group, right? She is coming to the Jim Masters show this Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, live. If you want to be with us, join us then. You can participate. Otherwise, you can see all these episodes later in the archives here on the Jim Masters show. Last night, we had one of the nicest guys. Did you see last night's show? Randy West, nationally recognized announcer. His voice is on some of your most favorite game shows hosted by Bob Barker and Wink Martindale, Price is Right, and on and on and on. He wrote this incredible book, TV Inside Out. He wrote a book celebrating the life of Johnny Olson, legendary announcer. Randy West was with us. And that was last night. If you didn't see that episode, check that out. It's all there for you guys, archived. Once again, we thank the wonderful Angela Cartwright, legendary actress, author, artist, and so much more. From Lost in Space, The Sound of Music, The Danny Thomas Show, and much, much more. Just scratch the surface tonight. And let's check in with some of our lovely viewers. The guests really do enjoy when they are designated lovelies. It's kind of an extra special thing. And we really appreciate Angela joining us, especially literally. She landed, she was on a plane and she landed and then got to her house, got into her art studio, plugged into our studio, signed in, and boom, there she was. And we really appreciate her doing that. She's a trooper. She's a professional. And it was a blessing having her on the show. So let's check in with some of the lovely comments here. Linda says, this has been wonderful. Thank you, Jim and Angela. The pleasure is all ours. And we'll have Angela back on the show. She already said she'd love to come back with new things that are happening. So we will certainly have her back. And some of our regular faithful lovelies. If you'd like to leave a comment on our actual YouTube channel underneath the episode, we would really appreciate that. That would be a blessing because that helps us expand our viewing audience, reach more people. When you click thumbs up on this episode on our YouTube channel, give it a thumbs up, and also leave a comment on the YouTube channel as well. And don't keep it a secret. If you're enjoying the Jim Masters Show series, entertainment, lifestyle, variety talk show series, don't keep it a secret. Tell everybody you know. We would love that. Thank you, Jim, once again for another fantastic show. Really enjoyed Angela. What a beautiful lady. I concur. I second that emotion. Wow, this was great. Oh, my Jim. Thank you, Linda Johnson. I really appreciate that as well. You guys are fantastic. Kathleen Walker in New York City. Loving it. What an awesome show. Thank you, Jim. The pleasure. Mine and Angela's as well. Maureen. Amazing conversation this evening. Thank you so much, Jim. You are truly the master of talk shows. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Perfectly named last name I have, right? Didn't have to change it. Love that Lucy Hour. Yeah, wasn't that a funny one? Yeah. And Sherry Larson says, I think it's time to pull out my Sound of Music DVD and watch it. That's probably what you're going to do. You're going to watch the Make Room for Daddy. You're going to watch the Lucy Desi Comedy Hour. You're going to watch The Sound of Music. You're going to watch Lost in Space. It's going to give you a different feeling now, isn't it? When you see Angela in those roles, you got a chance to sort of meet her virtually through our show. because we're interactive, and you guys are, like our studio audience, even though you're not here in our studio here or there with her. You're kind of like our studio audience, which is very special and kind of cool, isn't it? So really, really fantastic. And we really loved it. Linda says, so grateful Jim had Angela here. You're very welcome. Absolutely. And Pam says, absolutely. A couple more will check in here. Neil Rosengarten, good to see you, Neil. He checks in on our show and watches our series. We appreciate Neil being here. Congratulations on over 700 shows. Great one tonight. A couple of months, I'll have some cool conversation news for you. Fantastic. I look forward to that, Neil. Charlene, good to see you as well. Charlene, thank you very much. Again, if you guys enjoyed this episode, you want to do a super chat, super emoji, super stickers, or anytime 24/7, there's a little heart icon on our YouTube channel that says super thanks. Click that. That helps support all this work we do and all this content coming at you on the Jim Masters Show live. This episode with Angela Cartwright was epic. So fun and so many stories with such a great career. Charlene, absolutely. Thank you very much. Good to have you with us. Angela has so many memorabilia. I'll need to check them out on the studio website. Yeah, she really does have a lot of incredible memorabilia. And that's right. She was Linda Williams on Make Room for Daddy. Marjorie Lord. Oh, cool. That's an awesome title. Thank you, Jim, for all you do. Good night, everyone. Have a great night. You as well. Great actress. Absolutely. And a great artist. Good stuff. You guys are great. Look at all these comments coming in here. All right. We're going to get ready to wrap things up. And yeah, Florence LaRue is Friday. Linda says, so grateful for the archives, Jim, when life gets in the way. I know. I am so grateful, Jim, for what you do. We all love it. Thank you very much, Linda Johnson. I really appreciate that. We work hard behind the scenes, but thanks so much. And spread the word about our show. Invite folks to check out our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Give it a like, subscribe, all those things that help us continue to grow. Marcia Lyon, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for all you do, Jim. Be sure to take care of yourself. Thank you very much, Marcia. You're wonderful. Marcia and I have known each other for years. We've worked together at PBS, at public television as well. And we had some fun in New York City. Remember that night, Marcia? That was a lot of fun. We went to see some of our Irish performers, and we had a terrific time. And hope you're doing well. And hope to see you again soon. Yes. Marjorie Lord was the mother. That's right, on Make Room for Daddy. You guys are fantastic. Thank you, Sherry, as well, and all the support that you have for the Jim Masters Show. Be sure and spread the word, gang. We don't say goodbye around here. We say see you later. Ciao, cheers, slancha, auf Wiedersehen, hasta la vista. We say sayonara, moi loop, shalom. And we'll catch you on the next one. We love having all of you here. Don't forget to give this episode a like. Leave a comment on our YouTube channel. That really helps us. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, give it a nice subscribe. George Burns would love that, as would the rest of us here. All right. Marcia says, oh, yes, it was a blast. Yes, when we were in the city, in New York City, painting the town, not red, but Irish green that night. You guys are great. We'll see you again soon. Okay, we'll be back tomorrow again. Christian Gannier is here. Rising up-and-coming star, child star. You're going to love him. And Florence LaRue from The Fifth Dimension is here, and many, many, many more. And if you missed anything, just watch all of it in the archives and enjoy. And yes, that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to relax. We are going to relax. See you guys soon. Take care and stay safe. Linda, you as well. And Charlene Lee. See you later. Jim and Lovities. All right. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching this episode of the Jim Masters Show live with our special guest, the incomparable Angela Cartwright, gracing us with her presence, her wit and wisdom, and her amazing stories. And it was fantastic. All right. And it's always great being with all of you as well. We love it. So we'll see you on the next one. I'll be here in this host chair waiting for all of you. Take care. Be well. Love one another. Take care of one another. And as we always say, don't forget to love yourself. Take care of yourself. It's important to do that. Sometimes we get bogged down with the day-to-day. We forget to take care of ourselves. Even I forget to do it once in a while, even though I'm always saying to do it. Sometimes I forget to do it. I have to be reminded as well. So you be well. Thanks for joining us. And we love you all. Thanks for watching this episode and all the ones you enjoy of the Jim Masters Show. We'll see you on the next one, okay? You take care. Cheers.